All right, so that's the banking perspective, but what is the bigger picture looking like from the monsoon end? Are we fearing that we're going to face a drought similar to 2009? CRISIL had put out an important report yesterday suggesting that rainfall patterns measured by their drip index are suggesting that things are looking almost as bad as 2009. Mr. D.K. Joshi is joining us on the phone line. He's the Chief Economist at CRISIL. Mr. Joshi, thanks so much for taking our call. So just run me through what your analysis threw up, what your report threw up. Is the net takeaway that things are looking as bad as 2009?
I think if you take the rainfall up to the July 18, I think for which we have data, I think things are almost as bad as they were in 2009. Now what happens after this, I mean whether rains pick up in August and September, I think that is what will differentiate 2009 from today's scenario. But as of now, that's an uncertain thing. So I think if I take the information that's available till today, I think then things are pretty bad. And I think what we do is we measure the impact of rainfall by looking at both the deficiency in rainfall and also the vulnerability of a particular crop in a particular state, which means whether it's irrigated or not. So I think we combine these together in the form of an index which is called DRIP, and that is showing that Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and Karnataka, they are the worst impacted in terms of impact on agriculture output, likely impact on agriculture output. And as far as the crops are concerned, we have coarse cereals, oilseeds and pulses which are likely to be more adversely impacted than other crops. So, and I think this also means that you will have more outgoes on rural support programs like NREGA, etc., and some pressure on the fiscal side as well. I think that's broadly the major finding at a very macro level.
Let me pick up on specifics. The crops that you mentioned where there's maximum pressure, are we already starting to see price rises in the market in anticipation of supply shortages? Also, does the government have the leeway to step in with additional supplies, maybe through the PDS system, etc., to try and calm things down a little bit at the supply end?
Well, I think that can be done for rice and wheat, but for coarse cereals, for oilseeds, for pulses, I don't think we have enough supplies. I mean, these are anyway deficient and we depend on imports every year. So I think what might happen is the quantum of imports for oilseeds and pulses will have to increase. Coarse cereals, I think we will have to bear the pain. And I think these categories which I mentioned, I think they have inflation which is higher than inflation in rice and wheat, for which we have stocks. So I think market intervention will be limited to rice and wheat. For others, I think we'll have to depend on timely imports, etc. And now I think this is of course assuming that the next 2 months don't I think behave in the same way I think as the first 2 months in the monsoon season have behaved. If things improve, I think there's a positive side to it also. Kharif is going to be impacted in any case, but at least the scenario for Rabi will improve if we see rain pick up in August, as the Met is saying, and also in September. Then you have water levels improving, and that makes irrigation easier. Drinking water problems will get reduced, and I think, and most importantly, the hydropower. I think power we have short supply, so I think hydropower suffers during deficient monsoon. And I think if late pickup in monsoon can do some good to that, but I think as of now we have to keep our fingers crossed and hope that monsoons revive in the latter part. I think so far they have belied our expectations.
Have you built in, sir, any sort of incremental pressure on inflation and or downside pressure on growth, upside pressure on inflation? Is there a way to get a sense of how much this could add on the inflation side, how much it could subtract from the growth side?
Yeah, I think we typically do it in towards the end of August when we have a clear picture on monsoons, and I think as of now we don't have a very clear picture on what's going to happen in the next 2 months. So I think that's why we're not revising our forecast. But clearly this will, if let's assume the entire monsoon season turns out to be as bad as it is in the first 2 months, I think then that will shave off 50 to 70 basis points directly from your GDP growth. And inflation, I think it will create an upside by I think depends on how badly these crops are impacted. But yeah, clearly we have a current forecast of 7%, and I think inflation will inch closer towards 8% if that scenario materializes.
Right, so just last question, you alluded to the fiscal pressures that could build up on this account as well. So that would come from, say, increased outgo on Narega, maybe, farm loan waiver kind of schemes, which some states already are looking to, announce. And I don't know if it will be announced at the center level, but that could be a possibility as well. Again, at the fiscal end, things not looking great?
I think an additional pressure would be from the increased food subsidy, which will rise during a bad monsoon year. So I think there will be some pressure, additional pressure on the fiscal side coming from bad monsoon. And also, I think you'll have to carry out relief operations and so on. So I think if things actually turn out that bad, I think there's still some question mark on the worst case scenario.
So maybe we shouldn't build in the worst case scenario, but things are not looking that great. Thanks so much, Mr. Joshi. Appreciate it. That drip index, the CRISIL drip index is an interesting one. Gives you an indication just beyond rainfall levels. It talks about individual crop impact. Takes into account how much irrigation there is in all of these areas where rainfall is deficient. So it gives you a slightly better sense of the economic impact. So worth picking up on that. Let's slip into a quick break. We'll have to come across and talk about the global markets as well. The ECB chief certainly sparked off a rally yesterday, but is it a durable rally? We'll talk about that.